Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to give you the full moon in Scorpio, also lunar eclipse in Scorpio forecast plus the 2 weeks ahead. And this is the general forecast. There will be a rising sign forecast separately. So check the other videos for your rising or sun signs to get your personal interpretation. It's really a personal general interpretation, but it's still helpful. So eclipse in Scorpio, right? We're in the middle of eclipse season or completing it really today with the eclipse. That was, by the way, exact at 12:34 p.m. Central US time at 14 degrees of Scorpio. And it's a lunar south node eclipse. So moon emotion, south node, karmic past, baggage, old patterns, we're getting rid of that, getting rid of a lot of emotional baggage also, I think, is a big part of this eclipse. Scorpio has to do with control, empowerment or disempowerment, things we hold on to. It's fixed water. So I think of, a lake or a swamp, it's emotion that is contained and sometimes stuffed down. Scorpio can be about confronting fears, especially with regards to the balance of power. And then if we add to that the fact that Scorpio is ruled by Mars, Mars is in Cancer, which is the moon's home. And Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. They are in each other's homes during this, and the moon is being eclipsed by the sun. So we've got the warrior kind of causing trouble in the moon's territory, and the moon's sitting in the warrior's territory going, what do we do about this? So moving emotion is important. Self-care is important. A lot of times with Mars and Cancer, we can just let our feelings run away with us. I mean, the way we take action is on our feelings. Mars doesn't really like to be in Cancer. The warrior doesn't really like to be in that emotional realm. And that's not to say if you have Mars in Cancer that, you're an unhappy person or something like that natally, but the transit Mars is can be a boiling water emotional setup because it's a fire planet that can lead to frustration, hurt feelings, feelings that boil over, things of that nature, especially with an eclipse in which we might confront a situation that we have to end. And that can be a situation in ourselves, especially with it being Cancer. That's pretty internal. It's not to say that things don't happen on the outside to us. And that may be happening. We have to go back inward and see how we feel about it and how we're going to deal with it and what we're going to do. The other thing about this eclipse is that the sun, which is opposite the moon because it's a full moon, is with very close to Uranus in Taurus. The sun is at 14 degrees. Uranus is at, I believe, 18 degrees right now. Yeah, actually, the sun's now at 15 degrees and Uranus is at 18 degrees. So it's 3 degrees away. So Uranus is upheaval, revolution. It can be things that come out of the blue. It's change. It's rebellion, freedom, innovation. It's really the thing that comes in and shakes up reality. So I'd have the sun there with Uranus at the time of this eclipse. It's really saying, pay attention. You have to clear out space in the Scorpio area to make room for the newness in the Taurus area. Taurus is our values. Taurus can be our money, our assets, and on a mundane kind of whole earth level, that's going on right now. The supply chain situation, our economic foundations in America situation. But on a personal level, that can be a change in values. It can be a change in your situation monetarily. It can be a change in what makes you comfortable, a change in what you like. That's all Sun, Uranus, and Taurus. And that is also dominating the scene of the eclipse. But there's more. There's always more. Venus is in Gemini. Mercury's retrograde. So Venus is what we love, how we find peace, how we find balance. And Gemini, that can be kind of flighty and a little bit like squirrel over there, like, I don't know. I'm trying out different things. I'm not totally sure yet. And it was square to Neptune. Neptune can cloud the waters. And Mercury's retrograde. Mercury is how we think and how we communicate, and retrograde is a rethinking. It's in Taurus, values, comfort, assets, money, survival, fertility. Like, are the things we're planting in our life growing, that kind of a thing. Well, Mercury's retrograde, maybe it's going a little slow, or maybe we have to rethink how we take care or cultivate what is growing in the Taurus area. But with Venus and Gemini, and it was squaring Neptune, it's just been a little weird. And I have a story this morning. Something crazy happened, and I think that's kind of the nature of right now. And you'll see my graphic for the lunar eclipse is kind of like this darkish but magical tunnel of trees, because it is something that seems very spiritual, very liminal, a thing that we're going to have to really go internal about. But also with Mars and Cancer, we're definitely aware of our feelings around the whole situation. But that can also lead to acting rashly based on an emotional upheaval. So this morning I'm sitting in the line to get a chicken biscuit, because that's something we do in the South. We get chicken biscuits for breakfast. I had a late night. I don't actually usually eat breakfast. It's just not my thing, but I was really hungry this morning, and so was Warren, my partner. So I said, I'm gonna go get a chicken biscuit. Light rain, steady rain though. It was not slowing down. It was just lightly falling. Pull into the rest of the drive-through. And as I'm pulling in, there's an ambulance in front of me, and the ambulance gave me a weird feeling. I don't know why. I following an ambulance into the Chick-fil-A parking lot. Didn't have lights on or anything. It was just there. They were there to get something to eat, but I just had a weird feeling about it. So I went to the next lane over, let it have its space. You ever have feelings, intuition about something? So I'm sitting there right beside it, and I've got it NPR on or something as the news is on the radio, and I'm just kind of zoned out. And the drive-through is taking forever. This drive-through normally goes faster. It's taking forever, just sitting there, kind of feeling like reality was weird for some reason. And it did. Reality sort of got wavy for a minute. It was very strange. And I looked to my left at the ambulance, and again had a weird feeling. And all of the sudden, the ambulance hit the gas and ran into the person in front of him. So that's weird, because I might have been in front of this ambulance had I not gotten that weird feeling. I don't know if he accidentally hit the gas, meant to hit the brake. I don't know if he was just mad about waiting a long time. I have a lot of questions. They pulled around the building. I don't think anyone was hurt, but it was shocking. Everyone around me was going, oh my gosh. It was weird. I mean, and this is right where people are serving the food to the cars. So it was jarring. It was early. It's raining. I know it's an eclipse, and I'm having a moment here, right? But that's the nature of this moment, I think. Tune in to the things going on. There is a lot of Pisces connection to this eclipse. Not only is the node sextile to Saturn in Pisces, I'm sorry, trine, which is supportive, so there is a good connection. It's flowing. So that means we're kind of seeing into maybe some alternate realities, literally, figuratively, whatever you want to think. I know I had a weird moment this morning, so I'm kind of tuning in what's going on around me. What are the things happening today? What do I want to do differently? That's something I'm thinking. How can I change my own situation? And I think it's really important to try to be in tune, especially with Mercury retrograde, um, because things like that are happening around us. And we may have an opportunity to tune into some synchronicity that tells us, what is the thing that you're scared of? What is the thing that's ending? What is the thing that you have to confront? I don't necessarily think my weird situation this morning had anything to do with my personal life, except that I went to go get a chicken biscuit. Maybe that's not the best thing for me, health wise. But there are other things. For instance, this lunar eclipse is in my fifth house. that is creativity, children, inner child, romance, all these things. But this is a lunar south node eclipse. What am I letting go of there? But Mars is in Cancer. That's my first house. I'm a Cancer rising. That's my identity. And so I think there is a little bit of kind of tiptoeing back into a thing that I used to be doing, which is music, a revisitation to it, Mercury retrograde. And how do I feel about it? Well, this morning I got the album artwork back. I had to do the order for the songs, uploaded them for mastering. And it's bringing up feelings from this fifth house creativity place. Why? Because I've been doing it to myself. The fifth house is very personal, internal. It's creating for creating's sake. It's not creating to necessarily share, but the North Node, what's developing, the Sun and Uranus, the opportunities there are in my 11th house. That's reaching out to people. So I've been dealing with, I'm turning 40 this year. Am I too old to be putting out an album with my band? Am I too old to be going on tour? Is this going to work? You know, I can be anything I want to be. I think that's the message here with Mars and Cancer. And that Mars is going to tell you a lot where it is about how to get the messaging of this lunar eclipse. So I will go over that for your rising sign videos. I think that does it for the overview of the eclipse, though. What are you afraid to let go of? What are you confronting? What is disempowering to you? How can you change it with Mars? Mars is in a supportive trine in Cancer to the eclipse. It's a sign-based trine. It's not exactly trine, but it's also going to trine Neptune, which is imagination and inspiration soon. Trines are supportive. Sometimes this may be a little escapist, so don't be running from your feelings. Channel it into the thing that you need to be emotionally invested in, really. Emotionally and mentally. We can look at Mars and Venus, honestly, and we should. So, emotionally, mentally, what are you invested in? And what is holding you back as far as old patterns go? This is a new mental way of being, basically, especially with Mercury retrograde. So, let's move on to what's coming up during this week. Because, yes, we're getting past the eclipse. We're already past it, really. I'm doing this 2 hours past it. But eclipses tend to have 6 months of action. So, pay attention to that area throughout the year. If the moon transits Scorpio, is there something that comes up? I can also give you some dates really quickly before we move on to the week. The last lunar eclipse at this degree of Scorpio was a North Node lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Scorpio with Saturn. Saturn was there. I was in my Saturn return. It was on my Saturn. It was a rough ass time. Don't tell you what. April 25th, 2013. That is around the time that my husband passed away. And that was February of 2013. I was in my Saturn return in Scorpio. It was a North Node lunar eclipse in my 5th house, which is children, creativity. And I think I was being directed to dive in and figure out what it was I want to create to spend time with my children. I was their now only parent. So a lot of things that got started then are now changing. I'm able to switch and flip the script. Now, October 27th of 2004, there was a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. So why am I looking at the 5 degree mark? Because that's around the degree that the node is at right now. So I was just looking around that degree. So 2004, 2013, look back at those years. That's the cycle. It's cyclical. That's what it is. It's cyclical. So just look it up around those years. You'll maybe find some sort of rhyming or repetition to that. I know I definitely have, because I was trying very hard to get my music career back up and running. I think it was the only thing I knew how to do, during such a hard time. It was what I was familiar with. So I was trying very hard to do that. And it really Saturn just kept knocking me down. Still do fight against Saturn. We all do. We all have Saturn. But this time, and this is great because people might look back at 2013 and go, ooh, That was not an easy time. The eclipses with Saturn, no thanks, right? Can be tough, and it was tough for a lot of people. But this time, Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn's in a supportive trine. It's in a Jupiter sign, not a Mars sign. So this one is set up to be a little different this time around. The North Node is ruled by Venus. Um, so, you know, I think that that's going to matter for how this one comes out. Now, as we get past the eclipse today, the moon keeps moving as it always does. And maybe I'll share the chart because I think that might be helpful. What do you guys think? I like to draw on it sometimes. We'll share the chart for right now. Let me hit now. That's right now. Let's look at the eclipse. How about that? The eclipse was at 12:34 p.m. here in Birmingham, Alabama. And let's just point this out so you can see how this is working. South node and the moon here, sun, north node, Mercury retrograde, and Uranus all up here in Taurus. That's some heavy stuff. Now we've got Mars here in Cancer. Mars is the action. Mars is the ruler of the moon, which is being eclipsed. Pretty close to trine to the moon. It will definitely trine it tomorrow. Mars is pretty close to still sextile Uranus. It has just done that. So that's a little bit of a kite going on, sort of, not really, but kind of. And then we've got Venus here that is square Neptune. So that one's a little difficult, I would say. It's hard for us to kind of tune into our values right now. And then Mercury retrograde here at 8 degrees. Now, we'll give you the good news because we're moving on from this. We are just moving on. And we're going to go to tomorrow. And what happens tomorrow? The moon is leaving Scorpio. Now, the moon leaves Scorpio probably in the afternoon, but on its way out, it's going to trine Mars. It's going to trine Neptune. It's going to, I think that's the most important things that it's going to be doing. So tomorrow, Saturday, I actually don't look at it as a bad thing. I mean, Mars trine the moon, trine Neptune definitely has, again, those kind of spiritual vibes, those maybe a little bit like creepy kind of vibes. Neptune can rule fog. Scorpio is death, life, and rebirth. Mars in Cancer is, a hot springs, I guess, a boiling water, a boiling cauldron, and in this instance. So yeah, still, it may be a good day to be quiet and rest if you can. Now, May 7th, though, the moon's in Sagittarius. So now we're in a Jupiter ruled moon, a little more optimistic. This is Sunday. But it will square Saturn right off the bat, May 7th. And that can feel like a knock on the head. Luckily, we'll probably be asleep now that I look at it. What time does it square Saturn? So it's like midnight Sunday, like Saturday into Sunday. So yeah, watch your substance intake because not only do we have first the moon trine Neptune, but then as soon as it moves into Sagittarius, it squares Saturn and Pisces. Again, kind of escapist, kind of doing too much with a Jupiter ruled moon. So watch that. The other thing about Sunday is Venus is at the anaretic degree of Gemini. Venus is bringing in some balance to the place that Mars retrograde was. So that's nice. But Venus has had to endure a square to Saturn and Neptune. And so when it leaves Gemini, we may be a little excited. So that's going to be, first thing Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., Venus will be in Cancer. Let me make this an Aries rising chart so that the rising doesn't keep changing because that can be a little confusing. All right, cool. Now we got Aries rising. So as you can see, we're looking here in Cancer. There's Venus. There you go. Sunday morning, Venus and Cancer. Venus and Cancer is great. Venus is a sign of love, balance, values, relationships. You put it in the emotional sign of Cancer, it does pretty well. the moon is in a Jupiter ruled sign. Now, Jupiter is in Aries right now, and it's at the late degrees of Aries. It's going to move into Taurus in the next 2 weeks. So I'll go over that. So, what we're having right now is this finishing up of the Jupiter and Aries situation. So, luckily, Venus will not square Jupiter from a cardinal sign. So, I think we're doing good on that front. So, yeah, Saturday and Sunday, this weekend is self-care day. And I'm glad we have a gig tonight. I'm glad we don't tomorrow and Sunday. Like, I don't know how I actually planned a weekend off. It's because it wasn't planned. I had something to do tomorrow that I had to go work at, and it got canceled. Woohoo! Take your wins when you get them. Okay, so not much to speak of on Sunday, May 7th. We're going into May 8th. Sun Uranus, that is really building up on Monday. So, the eclipse had the sun very close to Uranus, but it doesn't actually come together until actually it's more like Monday into Tuesday it will be doing that. So I would say Monday, Tuesday is the Sun Uranus day. Watch for unexpected events, both in the news and in your own world. When you listen to your rising sign, listen to the theme of the house that Taurus has to understand where there may be unexpected events or some upheaval. Also, I wonder, part of me wonders if there's going to be like news about AI, because Uranus can shake things up in that way too. So, something to pay attention to. And then the moon is going to trine Mercury retrograde, but that's overnight, going into Tuesday. So, I mean, we may wake up. We do wake up at 7:30 a.m. Tuesday when it trines Mercury retrograde. Just a brief moment of, oh, maybe this is it. And it'll sextile Saturn. So Tuesday actually looks like a pretty good day. Not getting any rough transits here. So I'm going to give Tuesday the thumbs up. The only thing we got going is the sun and Uranus. That's it. So that's probably what's going to dominate, honestly. The moon does oppose Venus. What is that? Monday night. Yeah, I'm not so concerned about that either. That's typically, that can sometimes even be a nice transit. So I think, yeah, Tuesday gets the overwhelming energy of the sun and Uranus, and that's about it. Now, May 10th, Mercury sextile Saturn. Again, this is pretty good. Okay, so I'm looking at Wednesday, May 10th. I think the dominating energy is going to definitely be Mercury sextile Saturn. A sextile is opportunity. So we have opportunity to build, especially when it comes to our dreams. Saturn's in Pisces, that's our dreams. We also have an opportunity to rethink something if Saturn in Pisces had pulled the wool over our eyes. That's pretty nice. But as a bonus, we've got Venus and Cancer coming into a trine with Saturn. So to have all these things just kind of plugging into place is really, really great. The moon does square Jupiter around, looks like around evening time. That can sometimes be overdoing it, or big emotions. And then the moon's also going to be opposite Mars. So Wednesday night has a mixture. It's the moon, Mars, and Jupiter being in this rough T square. It's not exact. The moon opposes Mars at 24 degrees, squares Jupiter at 28 degrees, but it still can dominate, making our feelings be a little bit sensitive, maybe making us lash out and say things, especially with Mars and Cancer, really. The moon's in Capricorn, which reminds us of our structures, our foundations. We're asking ourselves, do we fit in here? Do we feel good in this situation? Luckily, Venus is going to trine Saturn, Mercury sextile Saturn, sextile Venus. After this Wednesday kind of speed bump with the moon, it's not, and then the moon passing Pluto Wednesday, that's another thing. Then we get the moon in Aquarius, and it's going to square Mercury. So we get this nice trine from Mercury a couple days before that, then a square. Okay, so now we have to really tune into the big picture with the moon square Mercury. But when the moon is in Aquarius, it's not just squaring Mercury. Our feelings and our thoughts, they're not in sync on Thursday. Um, but then the moon will square Uranus and the sun. It'll be the third quarter square of the moon. So that is another point of contention. Luckily, moon transits are brief. So I'm not as worried about that as I am excited about Venus in Cancer, trine Saturn, sextile Mercury, sextile Venus. This is active for quite a while. It becomes exact on May 13th, but as you can see, May 11th, it's already pretty close. So I'm watching that. Now, the moon, Thursday with the moon in Aquarius, it may feel a little detached, especially square Mercury. It just may feel like our head's a balloon and we're just floating off in space. So, there's something to say about that. May 11th. May 12th, though, is very interesting because this is Friday, May 12th, because the moon will square the sun and Uranus, which I think will activate it again, especially the sun Uranus conjunction. The moon square the sun is the third quarter square of the moon. But we have to imagine something about this third quarter square. It's not any normal third quarter square. The third quarter squares are the completion point. This is crisis in consciousness. How do we, what do I want to say? How do we distill everything from this eclipse cycle into something we can understand, into something we can take action on? So our goals, the way the people we are around, that's all Aquarius, the future, all of that may come up. And then we have to think, well, you know what? Our values are changing. So this part of us has to change too. How do we feel about that? This is completing from the new moon in Aries, from that eclipse. So we have the new moon in Aries solar eclipse, the full moon in Scorpio lunar eclipse. So we had a first quarter square, that's the half moon, full moon, third quarter square. We're completing that Friday, May 12th. So these topics will come back up. Not only the topics from the full moon, but the topics from the new moon always comes back up on the squares. Venus getting closer to trining Saturn. I'm just going to keep talking about that, how positive it is, because it is. And then, Mercury is really slowing down here. So we get a little nice bump Friday night of the moon sextile Jupiter. I don't know what I meant by bump. That sounded terrible. We get a nice wink from the universe, moon sextile Jupiter, Friday, May 12th. That could be a potentially nice thing. And then the moon moves into Pisces. This is the exciting time. This is when Venus exactly trines Saturn. And I always say the moon visits when it's an important transit. And look, there's the moon and Saturn, there's Venus at 6 degrees, and there's Mercury at 5 degrees about to go direct. This is a great day. Take advantage. I don't know, what might be possible, but this is just a wonderful moment. I love this moment, May 13th. Seems to be very, very significant. Now, the other thing is that Jupiter, and I do want to draw attention to this, Jupiter is at 29 degrees of Aries. It's at the last degree of Aries on May 13th. This is known as the anaretic degree, the degree of crisis. So Aries is about our independence, our autonomy, who we are, taking action. What do we believe in? What are we putting our energy into? And this seems to be a very heightened moment for that, not only because of Jupiter at the anaretic degree, but because we have Mars in Cancer trine Neptune. So do you see all these aspects, these trines coming in? Trines here, sextile here. Whoops, that was the wrong one. The sextile is from here. I know you guys love my arrows. Does this make any sense to you? There's just a lot going on that indicates believe in it, think outside the box, be inspired, see what happens. Can you do it? Do you feel like you can do it? I think I feel like I can do it. Okay. So this moment is pretty cool. Love in May 13th. Now, May 14th. What's going on here? Mercury stations direct. Okay, this is when Mercury goes direct. Um, thank God things can move forward. It does feel like we've had just to do too much rethinking, and there's been a lot of confusion and things of that nature. So May 14th, we got Mercury stationing to go direct. Yay. And the moon and Neptune, again, the moon visiting with an important transit, trine Mars. This is also very imaginative, can be very escapist, so be careful. And Jupiter's sitting here at the 29th degree. So I think Saturday and Sunday seem pretty similar, honestly, if you ask me. And well, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to now. The moon moves into Aries Monday, May 15th. Very different energy. Very different. Now it's all about what do I want? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Kind of a busy, sort of buzzy transit. Yet with Mars trine Neptune, we may feel like sleeping in. Mars trine Neptune makes like the world seem so like, is this real life? But it's also really good for creativity and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. Okay. Monday, I think, is just dominated by this moon in Aries with Mars and Cancer trine Neptune. Okay, so Tuesday. Tuesday, we've got the moon. Oh, Tuesday the 16th. This is the big day. This is the big day, everybody. This is the day Jupiter enters Taurus. Let me circle it so you can see it. There you go. The moon's visiting again. Moon always visits when there's an important transit, like I say. All right, there's the Jupiter. This is 10:30 a.m. Central US time. Jupiter's at 29 degrees 58 minutes. Everyone welcome Jupiter into Taurus. Why is that? Because it's Venus ruled. We are moving from Jupiter in a Mars ruled sign to Jupiter in a Venus ruled sign. That is so nice. There's one sticking point. Of course there is, Mandy. There's always a sticking point, isn't there? Yeah, it's going to square Pluto, which is freshly in Aquarius. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is a whole topic, y'all. It's like crazy. Pluto is power. It can be destruction for the sake of ending something that needs to be ended, death, life, rebirth, the balance of power. Pluto in Aquarius is an air sign. It's a fixed air sign. This is, I mean, basically the birth of AI and Saturn and Pisces to boot. You got both of these outer planets, and Saturn's not really an outer planet, but Pluto definitely is. In these signs that are very imaginative, very innovative, inspiration. Now, Aquarius can also be the megalomaniac sometimes. So you're going to see a lot of that. Now, here's the sticker with Jupiter in Taurus, square Pluto in Aquarius. That's some people trying to wield some major power. This is May 16th, but it's going to last, and it's also going to get more and more and more big. There's a reason for that because Mars will soon move into Leo to complete this lovely T square, and the nodes are there too. So really, it's a fixed grand cross. So May 16th, we got something to look forward to. Jupiter and a Venus ruled sign. Woo! But something to kind of go, what is this going to be about Jupiter square Pluto? Look to where Taurus is. Again, when I do the rising sign videos. Okay. So let me tell you about Thursday. Actually, no, we're still on Wednesday, May 17th. So that was the 16th, was Tuesday. So Wednesday, we've got Mercury direct, yay. The moon's in Taurus Wednesday, May 17th, which kicks off the Jupiter square Pluto. Okay. Mars is at the 28th degree. It is slowly moving into square these. Whether we'll be able to feel it before it moves into Leo and actually it does square Jupiter could be the case. I tend to think the moment it ingresses Leo is when it kicks off. So I'm not so concerned about Wednesday, May 17th, but I don't know, man. The moon visiting Jupiter squaring Pluto. It's kind of like I wonder what's going to happen. Jupiter tends to expand things. Pluto moving into Aquarius, this could be economic in nature. I mean, it's hard not to look at this and not see something economic or governmental being involved. Okay, and then we get the moon visiting Mercury. That's going to be pretty nice. That's the evening, especially now that Mercury's direct and it's still sextile Saturn. We are holding this Saturn sextile. Thank goodness. I think we need that to kind of ground us in what we truly believe, our spirituality, our intuition, our imagination. We need to think outside the box right now. Let me tell you something about the Jupiter square Pluto. This is a lot like the half moons. Okay. So imagine Jupiter and Pluto together is like a new moon, but for Jupiter and Pluto, it's called a new phase conjunction. That happened April of 2020. That was in Capricorn. And we all know about April of 2020, don't we? That was in Capricorn. Capricorn's governmental structures and structures in general, foundations, rules, boundaries. Pluto can be endings and destruction and death, life, rebirth. Jupiter's abundance and expansion. It just expands Pluto. Now we're at the half moon. Now it's time to take action on it. The difference is Pluto's no longer in Capricorn, it's in Aquarius now. And Aquarius is how we work together as humans. It's society. It's also large groups of people, networking. It's how we think about the future. It is innovation. It's revolution. So I'll also tell you that the first quarter squared the last cycle. So we had a cycle, 2007, Jupiter and Pluto came together. December 2007 in Sagittarius. We all know 2008. This is why I'm saying Pluto ingresses, Jupiter Pluto cycles can be a thing when it comes to the economy. 2008 we had the crash, right? So this happened, there was a conjunction December 11th, 2007. Then the economy kind of tanked in 2008. But then the first quarter square with Jupiter moving to that square position was February 25th, 2011. So that was from Aries to Capricorn. So 2011 may also be something to look back at because that was the last Jupiter Pluto first quarter square. All right, there's my spiel. Now, May 17th, the moon, this is Thursday, May 18th, actually. And it's almost the new moon. But first, before the new moon, the moon hits Uranus. So this is around 6:30 p.m. And then, also before that, actually Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Well, it's like Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday. The sun is sextile Neptune. So we've got the sun sextile Neptune, the sun just about to be sextile Mars. So we get this Pisces, Taurus, Cancer sextile in a lot of different ways. And I just really like it. I like this sextile. I think it's very much opportunistic. So even when we have these kind of like bigger, more intimidating transits, like Pluto square Jupiter, although I do think this means we just take action on empowering ourselves based on our values. We also have this really nice Cancer, Pisces, Taurus thing going on. So that's great. So it's going to be a good week. Very large overarching themes, I think. Just as a forward thought, I just want to give you guys a little bit of the warning here. because it does happen after the new moon, and I'll be back to talk about the new moon in Taurus May 19th. But uh, is it May 20th or is it May? Yeah, May 20th. Mars moves into Leo. That's right there. There's Mars and Leo. And then we truly have this grand cross. Pluto, Jupiter, Mars, and the nodes. That's going to be a little hiccupy. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. That's going to be a little tense, a little needing to take action, needing to figure it out, maybe needing to stand up for yourself. Mars and Leo square Jupiter and Taurus, opposite Pluto and Aquarius. Fixed sign battle is what we're having here. So I will save that for the next time, obviously, because it happens after the next new moon. But for now, comment if you have any questions. I always like to answer those if I can. You know, we're all busy, aren't we? I hope this helps you plan your week or actually 2 weeks, should I say. Big dates, Sun Uranus May 9th, Venus and Cancers May 7th, Sun Uranus May 9th, May 10th, Mercury retrograde sextile Saturn. That kind of starts and carries on through May 14th when Mercury goes direct, and even a couple days after that. May 13th is that exact Venus trine Saturn moon with sextile Mercury retrograde. May 13th is probably the best date out of all of them. May 14th, Mercury stations direct Jupiter is at the anaretic degree. And then May 15th, 16th, Jupiter goes into Taurus and squares Pluto. So there's your big dates. We got a lot of inspiration. We do have a lot of emotional kind of energy to deal with. But lean in on that intuition. How can you channel it into creativity? Check in with your values. Those are the most important things. I will see you for the new moon in Taurus, May 19th. And as always, check your rising sign, sun sign videos. You can book with me at ecstaticastrology.com if you want your own chart read and your own strategizing session. I love strategizing with astrology. It's awesome. And yeah, my band Love Rat is coming out with a new album, loveratmusic.com. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Catch you later.